Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Manjari Nadkarni, Ayurvedic MD, registered holistic nutritionist, and certified based allergy consultant live today on Facebook as well as Instagram. So, we are live on the Blue Water Nutrition Facebook page. We're live on my Facebook page. We're live on YouTube. We're also live on Instagram. So, this is the Wellness Wednesday. And for the month of October, we have decided that we are going to talk about senior health. And that's why we're picking different topics in relation to senior health, how to maintain your muscle mass, how to maintain your bones and joints. We're talking about diet. We're talking about different things that pertain to senior health, right? So the reason we are talking about these problems are because these are extremely common problems, right? So your age is not the only reason your joints ache. So this is one of the most common things that I see in my consults, that people will always talk about, oh, I'm just aging. Aches and pains are extremely common, right? So certain age related changes like your wrinkles, gray hair, are inevitable. And again, with your bone and joints, certain changes are going to be inevitable, but certain changes you should be able to control to a certain extent, right? And that is what Ayurveda is all about. Ayurveda talks about it's a preventative science. It talks about prevention. We have certain therapies called, rasayana treatments, which are going to promote longevity, which are going to make you extremely strong. So that's kind of the goal of Ayurveda. So it's very important to understand that don't blame it on your age. Your age is not the only reason that you have achy joints or you're having issues with your bones. There could be other factors as well, and that's exactly what we're going to discuss today. I'm going to say a quick hi to Vibrant Ayurveda. I can see Asmita Patel is here, Vedic Wellness is here, Dr. Harish Sirvi is here, and Sadhu 572K is here on Facebook. I can see a few people are live as well. If you're watching this live, put a quick hi. If you are watching this as a replay, you can put as a hashtag replay. And if you have any questions during any point of time in relation to today's topic or Ayurveda or nutrition in general, post it in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to talk about it. Today, we are talking about managing healthy bones and joints. And the number one thing I'm going to talk about is the key factor that is responsible for over 50% of age related changes to bones, muscles, and joints, right? So, over 50% of the changes that you're struggling with, which are age related, and this is a completely controllable factor, is activity. If you struggle with lack of activity, and that is very common, especially, sometimes I've seen that, okay, somebody is retiring because the workload is too much, but then they quit all sorts of activity and you become a couch potato, and that is not helpful. In COVID, most of us, no matter what age you are, have become potatoes, right? It's not a good thing. So activity is huge for maintaining your muscle mass, for maintaining your bone mass, and for maintaining your mobility, for maintaining your joint flexibility as well. So making sure that you are an active person, it doesn't mean you're running marathons, but you're active to your capacity every single day, right, is extremely important. And by active, I don't mean you exercise once a week for 3 hours. There has to be some movement every single day, and that is going to prevent at least 50% of the age related changes to the bones, muscles, and joints. There is a thing called disuse atrophy. So what you don't use, you are going to lose it, right? If you don't use it, you're just going to lose it. So it's extremely important to maintain some kind of activity on a daily basis. And that is why, if you go back to the Ayurvedic text, vyayam, which is a form of exercise, is talked about in dinacharya, which is the daily regimen. We don't talk about exercising once a week or 3 times a week, right? If you're having food every single day, your body needs to move every single day, right? And you can start by brisk walking, you can start by walking slowly, you can start by stretching, swimming, whatever it is that appeals to you, that you are comfortable with, especially if you have some changes in your joints. So you can choose that, but try and make sure that you are doing some activity every single day to maintain the health of your joints. 100%. See, and need to keep the dosha in balance. Now, the one thing that people don't understand about vata dosh is, that vata dosh can be increased or aggravated. There are two causes. One is any kind of depletion in the body, but other thing is the obstruction to its channels, right? So while your vata is circulating in the body at a regular basis, if you're not moving your body, you're obstructing the channels of the body, you're not letting things circulate well, and that is going to create more issues with the body, right? So what, like, that's one of the reasons why movement is very important in the body. So every single day, whatever it is, you can move, but move your body. Don't be a couch potato, it's not going to help you. Let's talk about some aging changes in the bones, muscles, and joints, right? So aging changes in bones, muscles, and joints. There could be changes in the posture and gait, right, that are common with changes. There could be a lot of changes in your, we talk about the hair and nail changes, and we talk about hair and nail as the sub tissues of the bone tissue, right, from an Ayurvedic perspective. So if you have hair that's falling off or nails are splitting, again, you are noticing there is going to be some skeletal changes going on in the body. And the skeleton is kind of the main thing where all the bones are coming together, and the joints are where the bones are like coming together, right? So when you start aging, you will either lose bone mass or bone density as you age. In women, especially after menopause, bones will lose a lot more calcium and other minerals as well. And that is how you end up losing the bone mass as well as the bone density, right? So again, the spine is made up of bones called vertebrae, and there is a disc in between all of your, uh, vertebrae. And with aging, the middle of the body becomes shorter as your discs are going to lose the fluid and become thinner, right? The vertebrae will also lose some mineral content. The spinal column is going to become curved and compressed, right? Bones, spurs can start forming, and there can be um, issues related to this as well. Your bones can also become brittle due to mineral loss, right? So bones of arms and legs are not going to change a lot, but they can become brittle, and your joints can become more stiff and less flexible. The fluid in the joints is going to decrease. The cartilage can start rubbing together and wearing off, and there can be mineral depositions in the joints around the bones, around some joints, and that's known as calcification, right? Again, hip and knee joints, you might lose cartilage. There are degenerative changes that's happening. Finger joints, you might lose cartilage. Your bones can thicken suddenly, so you'll see the edges of the bones becoming a little bit thick, right? Often there are bony swellings, they're known as osteophytes in women. Lean body mass will also change. You will lose a lot of muscle mass. We've talked in the previous, Wellness Wednesday about muscle loss, and muscle loss will change beginning like 30s is when you start losing the weight, right? And often muscle changes begin early in the 20s in men and 40s in the women, right? So muscle fibers are going to shrink, and you're not going to build a lot of muscle mass if you keep up with what you're doing. So when you age, you have to actively focus on not losing the muscle mass. So one thing that I have talked about in my previous session, and I'm going to talk about it today again, is if you are somebody who is aging, who is over the age of 60 or even 50 for that matter, and if you have lost weight in the recent past, or not being able to lose weight, or if you have aches and pains, or if you're not feeling the best, get a body composition test done, right? So get a body composition test done, so you know how much muscle mass you have, you know how much hydration status you have, you know how much fat free mass you have, you know how much fat mass you have. So it can help tell your body or divide your body into different compartments as to fat mass, fat free mass, out of which there's muscle mass, out of which the hydration status. So that will be extremely important to understand once you get it done, because that gives you your map, right? And looking at a comment, yes, Dr. Patankar, I'm going to address that the last. I have 5 points to cover, so I'm going to cover one by one point, and I will be talking about 5 foods to incorporate shortly, and ghee is definitely one of those. So Just bear with me for a few more minutes, and I'm going to definitely cover that point, right? So these are, we're talking about the effect of changes, but sometimes you lose a lot of muscle mass without realizing you've lost much, right? So get a body composition test done. They are not very expensive. If you are in Sarnia or surrounding areas, you can visit Blue Water Nutrition and we can book a body composition BI report for you. It takes hardly 10 minutes to get it done, and then we can go over it, and we can also understand what your metabolism is like, your basal metabolic rate as well, right? But muscle mass, extremely important, because your muscle provides strength to the body, and your bones have to be stronger as well as you age. Otherwise you are going to be prone to fractures or different kinds of arthritis, and your motion is going to be limited, your walking pattern will change, there will be unsteadiness. So all the age related changes will happen, and you will end up being very weak, right? Loss of muscle mass is going to reduce your strength, and if you're feeling weak, then you're not going to be able to live a healthy, happy life, right? When it comes to common problems that are faced in older age, osteoporosis, where your bones are breaking easily, there could be compression fractures as well of the vertebra. The muscle weakness is going to contribute to fatigue, weakness, reduced activity tolerance. Joint problems can create mild arthritis to debilitating arthritis, osteoarthritis, which is inflammation of your joints, and sometimes it's so debilitating that you don't want to walk or move, right? Risk of injury will increase because of the gait changes. If there's any instability to the way you're walking, or if there's a loss of balance, you might end up falling, right? Some seniors will have reduced reflexes, and which are caused by changes in the muscles and tendons rather than the nerves, right? So that is possible as well. And then you can see some tremors, you can see some abnormal sensations. These are all a part from an Ayurveda. Again, these are categorized into the vata type conditions or vata type ailments. And as we age, vata dosh starts taking over your body, and there can be quite a bit of vata aggravation, especially if you're eating certain foods that are aggravating this vata, right? So that's what the next thing we're going to talk about right now. My second point today is 5 foods that you need to avoid for healthy bones and joints. One of the first things you need to avoid if you are aging or in the senior age, or if you want to prevent aging, is excess use of salt, right? If you're addicted to salt, if you're having a lot of chips and lots of salty foods and smoked salmon, which has tons of salt, and canned fish, which is going to have tons of salt, things like beef jerky, or certain things which are high in salt, pickles and your papadums, and I think across all cultures they'll have like a whole thing of salty foods. And salt is the one thing that will make you age faster, right? So, from an Ayurvedic perspective, salt is the one taste, salty is the one taste that is making you age faster. And for healthy bones and joints, you have to also ensure that you're reducing your salt consumption. Excess consumption of salt is going to cause your body to release the calcium, right? And that is going to be harmful to your bones. And again, this will cause a lot of aging changes in your body. So limit foods that are high in sodium, that contain more than 20% of the daily recommended values. And one thing to do is sprinkle salt on top of the food. Don't add a lot of salt in cooking, right? Now, when it comes to salt, there are different kinds of salts. Himalayan pink salt is a great one. My favorite one is called Saindhav or rock salt, right? Which is the best salt as per Ayurveda. So if you can find rock salt or Saindhav, you can find it in any of the Indian grocery stores. That has a bit of potassium as well, and that is the healthier salt. It is not a very warming salt, right? So always, like reduce your salt intake mainly, and try to avoid foods that are higher in salt. Try to add salt on top. You can sprinkle, but don't add a lot of salt to food when you're cooking. And avoid chips and any processed foods or any preserved foods, bacon, like cured foods, beef jerky and all, which will have tons of salt in it, right? So those are the things to be avoided. The second thing that you need to absolutely avoid is alcohol, right? So alcohol again is a common irritant. While people talk about, having alcohol is like one glass you should be having every night to protect your heart. One thing you need to do to protect your bones is quit drinking. If you are somebody who's indulging in excess alcohol, alcohol is again going to acidify your system. You are going to lose a lot of calcium for the bone from the bones. So avoiding alcohol is another main thing you need to do. A third point is carbonated beverages, right? So any carbonated beverages like Coke, Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, whether it's diet, whether it has sugar added, it's both going to be not so great for you, because carbonic acid again, which is formed, right, with the carbonation process, you're going to lose a lot of minerals from the bone, and your bones are eventually going to end up being brittle. So that's something that you have to absolutely avoid, right? That is something you have to absolutely avoid. um, Caffeine is another one. So caffeine again is commonly used as a lifesaver, right? That's what I say. Like, you think it's a lifesaver because you wake up and you're feeling off and you're feeling foggy and it can get things done. But it's not a lifesaver because it's not doing it for itself or by its property. It's doing whatever you need it to do at the expense of your own health, right? So certain foods will give you energy, like ashwagandha. Any of the adaptogens will give you more energy, more strength, without borrowing it from your adrenal glands. And caffeine gives you strength at the expense of your stress glands. So there's a difference between the two, right? So adaptogens are things that balance your stress glands and give you a lot more energy. At the same time, caffeine is something that's constantly going to push your stress glands to function better. And often, when they're stressed, then they start secreting more adrenaline, noradrenaline, and they're going to wreak a havoc on your body, right? So, avoiding caffeine is another best thing to do for yourself. And the fifth one is something that will probably surprise you and surprise quite a few of the others, because it is one of the most commonly used ones, especially in seniors or as you age, because you add it for dietary fiber, and that's wheat bran, right? So, wheat bran is something that is not the best fiber substitute. So if you are adding bran, wheat bran contains high level of phytates that will hinder the calcium absorption in the body, right? And it will also reduce the absorption of calcium from other foods that are eaten at the same time. So if you are adding wheat bran to your milk, or cereal with milk, because of the bran, you're not going to be able to absorb whatever calcium is there in the milk, right? So that is why you have to avoid wheat bran as well. I'm going to say a quick hi to Ganesh. Ayurveda is here, Isha is here as well. um, Cookie Molly's mom is here, Rachel is here. Hey, how are you doing? Nithi Selva is here. So we have quite a good turnout on Instagram. So, I'm talking about certain foods you need to avoid for healthy bones and joints. The number one thing I talked about was reducing the salt consumption. Mamta is here as well. I'm just going to say quick hi. Reduce your salt consumption, stop the alcohol, stop any carbonated beverages, stop your wheat bran, and stop the caffeine. So these are the five things that um, you need to stop if you want to maintain healthy bones and joints. And Mamta is asking me about myself. I'm an Ayurvedic doctor. I'm also a holistic nutritionist. And I do Wellness Wednesdays here on Instagram as well as Facebook to discuss health related topics. And I try to condense a lot of information in small time. That's why I'm a little, try to be fast sometimes. So if you have more questions, please, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions that you have, right? So now let's talk about Ayurvedic aspect of the bone. Like, what are some foods that are going to be really good for you from a bone perspective? What about calcium? What about, what are some Ayurvedic remedies? What are certain things to include in your food? Right? We've talked about foods to avoid. Now let's talk about foods to include, right? So one of my favorite ones, and I think that's the one that Dr. Patankar also mentioned, that ghee is fantastic. Ghee is clarified butter. I'm right. So we Okay, so desi ghee or ghee is clarified butter. You're taking cultured butter, you're taking grass fed butter, you cook it at low temperatures. It'll start foaming, then the foam will settle at the bottom. It'll have a slight caramelized smell to it, which means that the ghee is completely done. Make sure you're not burning it. But when you use this ghee, then you strain it, right? And what remains is a pure fat. Ghee is fantastic for your eyesight, for your digestive system, and also to strengthen your bones. It also helps with healthy hair, healthy skin, right? And it is also anti-aging. So it is extremely important part of the diet. If you want to maintain healthy bones, if you want to maintain healthy joints, adding at least 1 teaspoon of ghee to your daily diet is extremely, extremely important. You can go up to 3 teaspoons or even a few tablespoons, depending on your body type. Make sure you're digesting the ghee. If you start feeling heavy after having ghee, feel nauseous or something, that's not the best time, like, or you're not processing it well. So drink lots of hot water or warm water, right? If you take a spoon of ghee, drink some warm water with it. Or you can take the ghee and mix it with your warm food and it will digest better, right? um, Cookie Molly's mom is saying that she is finished the 8th module of food freedom formula. That's fantastic. That's the last module. So fantastic. It is best if you take ghee first thing in the morning. Yes. Yeah, you can. But for certain people, if you have issues with your liver, or, morning is also the kapha time. So for certain people whose digestion is sluggish, morning is not the best time, right? For rasayanas, we will give it the first time in the morning. For panchakarma, we give ghee first thing in the morning. But when you're doing even small doses of ghee, if for some people, if the digestion is not as strong, you're feeling a bit nauseated, then have it with your lunch, and you can also mix it with your food, right? Medicated ghees are slightly different. I'm just talking about the regular ghee. You can definitely add it to your food for stronger bones, and it will work fantastic. My second favorite thing to eat for strong bones is sesame seeds, right? Sesame seeds are fantastic. If you haven't heard about sesame seeds, you're missing something. Sesame oil, sesame seeds, the best things for vata balance. Sesame seeds have tons of calcium. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, it's in the tahini sauce. Like if you've ever had falafel with hummus, hummus is made with some sesame seed paste or tahini, right? It's a Middle Eastern staple. So you can add sesame seeds to your daily diet. You can sprinkle a teaspoon on top of your salads or soups, or you can bake some things with it. For my autumn reset program, I created some almond buns, almond flour buns, because we are avoiding excess grains. And then I sprinkled some sesame seeds on top, and it's delicious, right? So definitely sesame seeds, if you make it a part of your daily life, they are going to be highly vata balancing. They are also going to be perfect to support your bones. The other things, the other nuts that I absolutely love for your bones are almonds, right? So ideally, the way to eat almonds is, rather than buying those salted almonds and snacking on it, if you buy raw almonds, and every night if you soak 5 to 8 almonds, depending on your digestive capacity, in the morning you throw the water away, you rinse it, you will take the skin off, peel the skin of the almonds off, and chew it every single day. And that will work fantastically for your bones as well, right? Fourth one is adding some kind of leafy greens. So every day, if you add some leafy greens, spinach has tons of calcium, but other leafy greens like Swiss chard, collards, beet greens. If you've never tried beet greens, you're missing out on something. So the beet tops, wash them really well, chop them up, cook them. They're delicious, right? So you can definitely, add leafy greens in the diet. And the reason is they are high in magnesium, and it is the magnesium that's keeping the calcium soluble, right? So that is why you need to have good amounts of magnesium in your diet as well. Otherwise, if you just take calcium supplements, they will start depositing in your body, which is not good for you. And that's the last point I'm going to make for today, that you do not have calcium supplements by itself. And I'm going to touch that topic soon. My fifth favorite one is Ragi. So Ragi, I don't know if you have heard about Ragi, and Ragi is known as finger millet, right? So finger millet, it's one of the varieties of millets. It's like almost a reddish colored one, and it is amazing. It's a whole grain. It's gluten free. It's packed with calcium. It has lots of amino acids. It's very, very, very healthy, and you can make like a porridge. It's also blood sugar balancing. It is like anti-aging. It has tons of iron, which will help with anemia as well. um, it will help in weight loss, has tons of dietary fiber. So Ragi is fantastic. Ragi or finger millet is the name. So adding that to your diet is a fantastic option. um, Okay, perfect. So Dr. Patankar is saying send some photos about preparation of ghee on your WhatsApp. Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing those pictures. So Ragi, so these are the five things you have to have in your regular diet if you really want to have stronger bones. Number one thing that I really like is ghee. Make sure you're having lots of ghee and you're digesting it well, right? If you don't digest, then you're gonna just clog your system and all the channels. So make sure you're digesting the ghee. Sesame seeds, almonds, we talked about leafy greens. We also talked about finger millet. You can make porridge out of it. You can make pancakes out of it. You can eat it the way you want. And it is delicious. It's really, really good, right? So those are the five things you should eat. We've discussed five things you should not eat. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about calcium supplements, right? So calcium supplements, try not to have just the calcium, right? So calcium, again, you'll find a lot of literature around it, whether it's safe or not. Some people have done studies whether they are harmful. um, there can be side effects. It can cause bloating. My perspective is, if you're going for supplementation, right, you don't want that calcium to deposit anywhere else in the body. So sometimes when people are concerned about osteoporosis, they're taking high doses of calcium. They're taking a lot of high doses of just the calcium, and that has been studied to create a lot of cardiovascular diseases again. So there has been research done where they have connected excessive dose of calcium connected to the cardiovascular deposit disease, because this calcium can deposit into your arteries. So whenever you take a calcium supplement, if you want to have stronger bones, always go for a supplement that will have other factors in it as well. An example is calcium with magnesium, vitamin D, as well as K2, right? So at least your vitamin, your bone vitamin should contain these things, when we're talking about, or the bone mineral complex, whatever you're taking, should contain the calcium, magnesium, D3, as well as the K2. K2 is the marker molecule that's going to take the calcium and deposit into the bones rather than deposit it throughout the body. If you are in or around Sarnia, we have lots of pre-made, like good calcium supplements that have all these four mainly. So visit us at Blue Water Nutrition, and we will have all the supplements, for different price points and different needs as well, right? So you can just drop in, and we will be more than happy to talk to you about calcium supplementation. And if you're already taking a calcium supplement, which you absolutely love, we can help you add in the magnesium or D3 or K2 as needed, right? So that's another option you can have. So this is just what I wanted to quickly say. Now, Cookie Molly's mom, what what's your name? Like, I know you, but I just keep onto your Instagram handle, right? So do you recommend pre-made ghee? I bought a jar of it and it has solids in it. Should be pure golden, thanks. So pre-made ghee, especially in the cold season, will solidify here, at least in Canada, right? In India, usually it is in the liquid. Oh, Michelle. Okay. Okay. Perfect, Michelle. Yeah. Yeah, Michelle. Perfect. So here it does solidify, right? And if you put a little bit heat to it, then you can have, you know, um, good amounts of, yeah, you can make it a little bit more liquid. So it should be fine as long as there's no like mold or anything on top, and it's been covered and kept in a nice place. When you're cooking ghee, if there's water left in it, then it doesn't stay for a long time. But if you make sure that you're evaporating all the water, then it can stay for years and years and up to 1,000 years, right? And yes, 100%. So eggshells and calcium supplement, but should be taken under proper advice. 100%. So eggshells, I've also known certain people who would save the eggshells and then blend them into a powder and have it, right? So that's an option too, but not really until you take advice from someone, because you want to know what quality the eggs are as well. You just don't want to add too much calcium into your system without knowing what's going on, right? So this is my short talk for today. um, Today it's all about managing healthy bones and joints, and this is what I wanted to hop on and talk. And one thing I'm really excited about is I'm hosting this Ayurveda autumn reset. We have about 37 people signed up for it. It is going fantastically. We are all having lots of fun. We are all having amazing food, and it's such an amazing experience. um, So again, Isha, there is no one specific dose, right? Again, when you look for a calcium supplement, depending on how much calcium is in that supplement, there will be different dosages by different companies, depending on the formula, right? Usually, yeah. So there will be different formulas, you know. So some will ask you to take like 3 a day, some will ask you to take 6 a day. So the dosage will depend on that, and it will depend on the company. So if you have something, just send me a like picture and I can tell you more about it, right? So okay, Chitra Kaku's here as well. Perfect. So that's all for today. You can check out all my old videos on my Instagram live or my Facebook page as well. And if you have more topics or suggestions, I would be more than happy to uh, talk about different topics. Thank you once again. Have a fantastic evening, and I will